Good afternoon, everybody. I'm John Pierce, Youth Director at U.S. Sailing, and welcome to the Starboard Portal. Thank you to those of you that are members of U.S. Sailing, and please join or renew to help support the ongoing Starboard Portal project and all of the other things that are going on this summer within U.S. Sailing and across the sailing community. We appreciate your support. I'm really excited to be here today with the Langolf family, and to be focused on family sailing and how the sport of sailing is kind of flourishing at the family level during the summer of the coronavirus here. And I was pleased to meet the Langolf family back at the Sailing Leadership Forum in February in San Diego before we all hunkered down. And what a vibrant group. They're spearheading a really cool project called More Kids On Sailboats, and have even started a nonprofit that we're going to learn about today to support that effort. And sailing is the ultimate family activity, and this family really embodies that. So they're coming live from Columbus, Ohio at the Letterman Row Studios, and I'm going to kick it over to them in Columbus, and welcome to the Langolfs.
Hey, John, what's up? All right.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're live from Letterman Row. This came together, and as we kept sticking four faces into a Mac from about 6 inches away, we called our good buddy Will Crawl and said, "Hey, any chance we can open up the studio?" So here we are. I feel really official with our headsets.
Very, very official.
You look great. You really do. And this is really fun. It's great to have a whole family together to talk about the sport, and you all have a great approach to everything. And so before we kick off with your awesome slideshow and everything you have to share, do you mind kind of introducing yourselves and tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Hadley. I'm 11 years old. Other than sailing, I like to swim, play lacrosse, and ski.
All right. I'm Brett. I'm not going to disclose my age. Yeah, this is our family. I grew up sailing on the lakes of Lake Huron, and just kept traveling around. And as Katie and I met, we decided that the kids should do it too, and here we go. So
I'm Charlotte. I'm 10 years old, and other than sailing, I like to ski, do gymnastics, and play lacrosse.
And I'm Katie, and I'm kind of the ringleader of this tribe, I guess. I grew up very similar to these girls, spending a lot of time on my family boat. Thanks to Mom and Dad for getting me into it young, and passing the love on to our clan now. So it's a family adventure for sure, and takes all the generations before us to help us get there.
it sure does, and we still call them those generations. We got some retired people that can move some boats around for us. And actually, as we're getting older, the younger kids are doing a much better job lifting than we used to. So we're gonna jump into a slideshow. We're gonna tell some stories. Hopefully, there's some questions on the portal to have fun with it. But when you guys came to us and said, "Hey, are you interested in doing this?" we started having some great discussions with Brittany and the broader team, and they said, "What do you guys want to talk about?" And we laughed and we said, "Well, we're stuck here in our house in a global pandemic, and thank God we've been sailing as a family for the last decade, because it's really gotten us ready." And it was like, what? Because we live on a 34-foot sailboat 2.5 hours from our house. So the fact that we've added air conditioning, running water, multiple bathrooms,
A dishwasher.
and showers,
A dishwasher is super important to quarantine.
The fact that we had a refrigerator, not 7 Yetis lined up around the boat, we said, well, this pandemic, while terrible in its own sense, we found some interesting ways to get along and get through it. So we put a couple topics together here, and we'll share away. And when it's time to stop talking, just holler.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, it's been a family affair for many of us who have been at home with spouses and children and everything like that. And sailing is such a good outlet for, especially coming up this summer, to get back together. So yeah, please take it away with the slideshow. Someone in the chat mentioned that the audio is a little low, so maybe just speak up a little bit into your headsets there, and take it away.
All right.
That
all
is
right.
not a problem.
Yeah, speak louder. Thanks. All right, we're going to get a little technical with this here. So I'm going to come in here. God, this headset does look good. You guys really look good.
Is this Monday Night Football?
All right, we had a ring height video, so we had to start with that. So basically, John said a little bit in the beginning. We're going to cover off on some of that now. More Kids on Sailboat a couple years ago started as a hashtag, just a way for us to collect our content and ways to kind of share our stories and put them all into one common place. And as that hashtag began to grow, next thing you know, we'd be in a thread with somebody from Italy that we didn't know, or somebody down in the BVI's. And it got us into conversation with John and US Sailing. So as More Kids on Sailboats hashtag has grown, it has grown into a nonprofit 501c3 organization that we're really excited about. You know, we've been excited for the last 30 days. It's come together, and we hope it's going to be hopefully run by these guys in the next 30 years. So
Hopefully.
yeah. So we've put together, we've got a website, we've got some statements, we've got some information, because really, while sharing these stories in this time on here, we want to get more people involved. And Katie, you could take us through our mission.
Yeah, I mean, we just have seen both Brett and I growing up in the sport and then raising our girls in the sport that the leadership skills that come out of any team sport are pretty significant, but that sailing offers this unique opportunity where you can acquire leadership skills and relationship skills by being a part of a team that is both co-ed and multi-generational. And I think that there's no better way to learn than from the generations before you. And most sports for kids become, you know, an all girls team or an all boys team. And so the fact that girls and boys can learn to work together and learn from those generations older than you and even the generations younger than you is pretty significant and pretty unique. And so our hope through More Kids on Sailboats is to just start to aggregate what the great things that everybody's doing on boats across, you know, the United States for sure, and maybe even globally, and learn to lead from each other and just spread the love.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been pretty exciting of what we've seen and people we've met just through a hashtag. So this whole internet thing is going to work, everybody. Just a heads up. This is an interesting story. Before we jump to the next slide, you know, we were talking on Monday with you, John, and getting ready for this. And one of the things that we put together last weekend is we've put together an all kids crew. Down to the skipper. So I've been replaced. Thank God. You know, we've got down to a 16-year-old skipper and Jack Vanderhorst, and we're putting an entire team for the Leukemia Cup together at the end of August of all kids, ages 10 to 18. And we're going to put them on a 34-foot J34 IOR race boat. We usually go with the crew of 9. We've weighed these kids in. We think we're going to go with the crew of 13 to keep the high side down. But you know, this is a huge initiative we've put together, and we're really going to put these kids out on the water. We're going to put them through practices and the camaraderie and the leadership that they're going to meld from each other, because some of them are complete strangers. It's not like we just took a bunch of kids that have been on the boat. Mm-hmm. We've kind of spearheaded this, and yesterday we were asked to join the Leukemia Cup call, big international call, and you know, we wanted to learn about fundraising because we were interested in it. And well, we got called out. So I think if we jump to the next one, our good friend Kate Keen sent us this, so I'm gonna have to go put my headset right by it. So there we go.
I'm also taking advantage of this Hall of Fame challenge, and I'm calling out another boat directly. In a good way, I promise. Actually, I just challenged a boat this past weekend. It was Team Knee Deep, and this team is being made up of an 18 and under crew. And they are going to try and raise $15,000 to attend the next fantasy sale. so we can get some younger kids involved too.
Other questions or comments?
I was just going to say that Brett and Katie Langolf have just accepted the challenge that I presented on our call. They are with the team More Kids on Sailboats, accepting for the 18 and under group of kids, and they're all in. Thank you, Brett, Katie.
All right. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
We've got some fundraising goals ahead of us, which is exciting, and it's getting into a great organization.
That's
Kids,
great.
Yeah. Kids, how are we going to raise money?
Do we talk about this
No, I'm just asking you.
by
But
other people?
no, we are excited. And, actually the second part was us texting Kate in the middle of the call saying, well, I guess we've accepted the challenge. And really, we are going to do it. We're going to raise the money. Leukemia is close to our heart. We have crew members who've been diagnosed, some who have beat it. My grandfather passed away from it, and my dad is currently been diagnosed with it. So 15 is as we've looked at it, is going to be the bottom. We're gonna bust our butts to make this happen. So if there's any kid out there that has a dream of going sailing and you want to donate $5, but seriously, we've got a slide next that has our call to action and our contact information. If you've got a club that doesn't have this type of organization, or if you have nothing to do with sailing and you're looking to be involved, we really want to have a great time doing this while raising money for an amazing cause. So
Can you tell us more about the crew, sort of the age range involved, and who's going to be doing what on the boat, and what are the girls going to be doing on the boat?
Can I answer this question?
Sure.
We
Please.
don't really know yet because we don't have an entire crew. We don't have an entire crew for this quite yet, and we want to figure out who excels in what, and we will figure out from there.
And it's more of a distance race. And so we actually were talking about this at lunch today. There's probably going to be an opportunity for a lot of people to do a lot of different things. The longest course would be 52 miles. And the shorter course, depending on wind, would be around like 18-ish. And then there's a middle grounds course. So Hadley loves to helm a little bit here and there.
Mhm.
And Charlotte likes to trim, and Charlotte likes to also be the snacktician and get snacks for everybody.
The boat's not complete without a snacktician.
Self-proclaimed snacktician. And I think the crew will be made up of some friends that from Sandusky Sailing Club and I guess all over Ohio, kind of Cleveland area, sort of stretching the span of Lake Erie from Sandusky over to Cleveland.
Yeah, but like, we said, it's going to be a mix of boys and girls ages 10 to 18.
Yeah.
Spanning a variety of clubs and a variety of different backgrounds. Most of them are small boat sailors. So I think once they see the kite on a J34 IOR, they're going to be pretty excited. And it's going to be fun. I mean, because it's not like there's a kids division. We're putting them in there against the best of the best on that lake of adults and pros and the perf gods and whoever it might be. So it's going to be fun of what those kids can put together. And I'd say the victory is finishing, but I've met these kids and know how competitive they are. So I'm going to tell you,
Yeah, they're going to go for the win.
I want to win it.
they better. Yeah.
Well, and the nice thing with Leukemia Cup, there's a winner on the water, and then there's also a winner in fundraising, and we are certainly motivated to be the winner of both, but the fundraising piece, most definitely.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, I mean, Hadley and Charlotte, you're in charge. Brett, you'll be on board for insurance purposes, I've heard. So that's great. And I actually just got a text message from someone saying that they want to connect you all with the people at Oak Cliff in Long Island Sound. So
we love Dawn Riley.
That's awesome. For sure.
Great.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I actually found out last night, I think I've been kicked off the boat too. So hopefully anybody's got a power boat out there that wants to
take the weekend off.
Exactly. So I think we'll jump to the next slide. There's just a couple things. Oh yeah. So yeah, we already had that. So we've accepted the challenge. We're dialing it in.
One slide too late.
Yeah, we didn't rehearse this. But this is a little bit about our contact information, where to go. You can literally just email me, Brett at morekids@sailboats.org. We've got some fun YouTube videos the kids have been working on over the years. So that's the More Kids on Sailboat. Last 3 years, kind of in a nutshell, and really we're excited for this summer as the Leukemia Cup gets closer. So what should we do next, John? You want to tell some stories?
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your experience and what you've learned from being a sailing family and then going through this quarantine period.
Yeah. So there was this moment where we were, we walked down the stairs and we thought that this is what we're going to be doing, early or mid-March. This is what we're going to be doing for the next weeks until we don't know. And it was, we had a puzzle set up in one room, and we had board games set up in another room, and an ongoing card game going in another spot. And there was a bit of as a mom, there was a bit of a panic. I'm also an elementary school teacher, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'm teaching from home, Brett's working from home, the girls are doing schoolwork from home. How's this going to work? And we had this aha moment that, there's some lessons we've learned through our teamwork as a family on a boat, and those lessons are going to apply. And so that's kind of our plan, I think, is to tell some stories, talk about those lessons today. And the first one, of course, is to be a team player. Just like on a boat, if we're all going to keep our sanity and we're all going to live peacefully together, we need to own up to our responsibilities and make sure that we are doing our part in what needs to be done. And I guess when our kids were the littlest, their jobs were pretty simple on a boat. One was stay in the pack and play when we're docking. If the boat's going in or the boat's coming out, your job is to be down below inside the pack and play that was strapped to the keel bolts. And responsibilities grew from there.
Yeah. And as they grew, you got that. Well, thanks, buddy. Yeah, we've had plenty of jobs. You can see we've got a couple of visuals here. Hope you guys can see those well.
Especially the snake.
Especially the snake. So, yeah, we have snakes in Lake Erie. We'll just get that out of the way. So,
you want to speak to that, Charlotte?
Oh, I have a story about that snake.
What happened when you came up from below deck
I
one
was
day?
down below and I went up because the cooler's on our dock to get something from it, and there was a snake in the cockpit.
Thank God I was not there, because I don't know that I would have been able to handle it. And so, Charlotte, what's your new job on our boat? What's your new responsibility?
I help with getting the snakes out.
Yes, she's actually pretty good at it. And I thought I was scared of snakes. I'm officially not scared of snakes. So Charlotte and I go in, we wrangled a couple out. We were all set though. We figured out where they come in, scuppers.
So we were telling people about it because we thought it was a rare event. Everyone's like, oh yeah, you just got to stick sponges in the scuppers. I'm like, how did no one tell us about that?
For 15 years.
This is just confirming what everyone thinks about lake sailing. I'm a lake sailor, so I'll say it. I can call out lake sailing as occasionally, the critters are a little different than you get in the ocean.
This is true. This is true.
The cute baby seal on the rocks.
Yeah. So you've got Charlotte down below here. I think that wasn't in the pack and play, but I think she used to like to hold the mast on our old J30. And these jobs have evolved now it's from going in a pack and play to skirting the jib to, these kids have now gotten out of the pack and play. They've gotten pretty big for it. So now
I learned how to use circuit breakers.
Yeah. So
that was last week's lesson.
Yeah, tell them that one.
Learn how to use circuit breakers when our shore power decides to shut off.
Go down,
Yeah.
Reset the circuit breakers. So I guess, the responsibility comes in, all forms on a boat, from everything, like Hadley said, to electrical, to whatever nature throws your way, snakes, to actually taking care and maintaining the boat. And it's pretty applicable to what we're going through at home right now, too, making sure that you put your dishes away, making sure that you pick up your clothes off the floor.
That's why we didn't do that from our house.
And so forth. Actually, speaking of clothes on the floor, Hadley decided for her birthday party,
That
10th birthday party.
I was gonna bring friends up to the
11.
boat and stay the weekend.
And we were going to take a little sail over across the bay to Cedar Point. And as we were talking about this and sending out the invite to the parents, Hadley and I had this aha moment that living aboard a sailboat is much different than a weekend away doing something else.
Sleepover.
Yes. So Hadley made a very detailed list to her friends of what they needed, including what kind of bag?
A duffel bag or a backpack. Tiny duffel bag.
Mm-hmm.
Or a backpack because it's hands-free and it's easier to get on and off the boat. And I was like, you can't bring a huge sunscreen, just bring a tiny one just for the weekend.
Yeah,
Only pack what you need. You don't need 5 pairs of shoes to go for a weekend. Tennis shoes and maybe flip-flops.
Yeah. And everything had to fit in their bunks, right? When they
Mhm.
weren't using it.
When they
which
weren't
was,
sleeping in it, everything had to fit in
Right.
their bunks.
and something with a zipper so that when we're
Yes.
actually sailing, it doesn't all fall
Doesn't
out.
all
And so
fall out.
little things like that I guess you take for granted doing this every weekend and every opportunity you get. But when you introduce new people to it, those are some of those responsibilities we learned. And you can see in that one photo, we've got, I don't know, maybe 6 beach towels and
A ton of bathing
a
suits.
whole
hanging
bunch of
up on the
flip flops and a whole bunch of bathing suits all
rail, lined up on the
aboard.
rail.
However, look at how neat and organized it all is. So again, that little bit of responsibility.
Yeah,
Yeah, keep it ship shape. And
Yeah.
Hadley, I'm curious, have you taught, your friends to sail? Have any of them started to sail with you more regularly?
That is a good question. I have taught a couple of them. They don't go sailing regularly. We've taken a couple of families up that don't sail. I taught them how to sail, a couple of my friends. They don't know everything,
No.
but you never know everything about sailing.
Right.
But also we might get into this later when we were redoing these opties that we found. I took a friend that didn't know how to sail, didn't know what an opti was, and we sanded the boat. We put some filler in. We painted the boat. We primed it.
Yeah. So you've even
Very
roped your
cool.
friends into the working on it too, huh?
Yeah.
Not just
Yeah, if you
Not
want the
just the
glory, you got to
sailing.
do the work, right?
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, I love this live aboard, weekend lifestyle and sharing that with your friends. It does remind me a little bit of the last 3 months in my house with 2 little ones. So
Yeah, you've got that newborn, John. So yeah.
exactly.
It
Very
was
cool.
funny. When we were looking for these pictures, we found this one, and literally the next one on the film was this boat completely stripped, about 12 Doyle sail bags lining the deck. Then it says 1 weekend a birthday party, next weekend Mackinac delivery. I mean, the boat looked, other than the white deck, everything had been transformed, and it was pretty funny when we were flipping through it. We're like, we're nuts, but we're our own nuts, so we're comfortable with it. All right, you want to talk? Speaking of Mac, you want to talk about the
sure.
delivery?
Yeah,
All right, so let's do that next slide.
So I guess, yeah, this was our last lesson in responsibility. So I've been working with the land crew, which is a very, very elite crew.
Tougher than you think.
Multi-generational. It is my mom and myself and the girls have been charged with getting the empty trailer from Columbus, Ohio to Mackinac City each year. And
10 hours.
Yeah. And 10 hours of white knuckling, because even though the trailer's empty, it's still like 30 feet and the truck is big, and I don't know. So I've the responsibility on my part is we have to say no to these nice lunches with friends in lieu of, you can see, having a picnic lunch at a rest stop, because I can only pull straight through. There is no backing up. There is no really turning right or left except for changing lanes.
Well, we have backed it up before. It's not, if we have the choice, we don't like to.
This is true. Yeah. So we learned that one the hard way, right? We were decided to meet some friends at a water park in Mackinac City. And the other mom
I'm
says,
so glad I was on the race course.
the other mom says, oh, sure, pull right in. The parking lot's huge. There's plenty of space. So I believer, and I pull right in, and there was not plenty of space. And I got the truck and the trailer wedged in like the turnaround of the water park. And I couldn't go forward. I couldn't go backward. We were just stuck. And I think probably Hadley, no less than 8 cars I was blocking in. And of course, these were families that had had their fun and fill and wanted to get out of this water park. And I was completely obstructing them, holding everybody hostage, not letting anyone in or out of the parking lot. It was not funny. I was like dying. There was nothing funny about it. So I didn't know what to do. So I went inside and I like went to the front desk and I'm like, I am in a panic situation. And the person working the front desk was a retired semi truck driver. And he's like, oh, I've got you covered. And he comes outside and he gets in the car and he, inch by inch gets it and he backs into this spot like so beautifully, so perfect. I tried offering him money. He wouldn't take money. But then I took a picture. We couldn't find it, but I took a picture and sent it to Brackett and Brett and was like, oh, look at my trailering skills. They've gotten so much better since you guys left for your trip north. But really, it was just some nice man.
But
saw me.
Also, when we say no to these nice lunches, there are things that we probably wouldn't have experienced if we didn't skip it. This guy was walking his potbelly pig like a dog.
Right. Oh, yeah. When we were having that picnic lunch. Yeah. There was a man
Potbelly pig.
At a rest stop.
It was insane.
By the time I finished the race, I didn't even have the good stories. I'm going to hit advance on this because I don't think you need to know sound, but this was last summer, pulling the boat out after Mackinac, and we'd already shrink wrapped the mast, and the girls shrink wrapped each other. We don't have the video later when the shrink wrap has gotten tight and circulation was a concern, but being prepared, we had a rigging knife and they were properly cut out. So,
but I think it's a good one to end on about responsibility during this time. I think one of the most important responsibilities was being kind to each other because we're all living under this same roof. And that picture, though silly, exemplifies that you girls rock and you have been awesome through this and good to each other, which has made our lives a whole lot easier.
All right.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the analogy there of your legs are shrink wrapped together. It's felt
like
a bit
literally.
like that, I think.
Even when they aren't shrink wrapped together, it feels like it.
All right, so that's lesson 1. Be a team player. Should we move on to lesson 2, John?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, cool. All right.
So I guess our lesson 2 is for the love of the game. And if you look at TV commercials or Facebook posts or hear family stories during stay-at-home orders, you kind of can pick up on a theme that life right now is not very glamorous. We've all gone without makeup. I think this is the first time I actually put makeup on in a really long time.
You look fantastic.
No haircuts, quarantine beards. We've all lived it all. It's not glamorous. We kind of hit the reset button and are going back to the basics. And Brett and I were really thinking about the boat ownership is a lot like that. There's a lot of non-glamorous parts of owning a boat.
If it was easy, everyone would do it.
That's right.
Yep.
If it was easy, everyone would do it. So yeah, we just thought we had some stories about that as well, what the non-glamorous parts of boat ownership have taught us.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll jump to the next slide, and really what we wanted to talk about was being part of the process. So I think we're going to hit it one more time, Will, and then I'm going to put the camera up here. So then I'll tell my story.
Who's so smaller? What do you think there, Charlotte?
What is it, Hat? They're upbeat. How many? Who do you think they're for? Who?
Me.
That's what Pop-Up went to do this morning, was go pick you girls up your first boat.
All right, I will say they did not argue over which one was which. So what do you remember about that day, Charlotte?
Well, we were swimming we were at a grandparents' house and we were swimming in the lake, and our grandpa left to go get the opties at like 6 o'clock.
Golfing.
But he told us he was going golfing, which
Sailors don't golf.
I was kind of confused about because he never goes golfing. And then like many hours later, he came back with opties.
I remember some really random stories from that day, but I took the boat named the Gerald R. Ford. And I also remember that me and Shaw were having trouble climbing into the truck because we had towels tied around our waist.
Had to ditch the towels, huh?
Yeah.
To get in to sea.
Yeah, yeah. So this
That
was
was a really random
this was
story.
great. Well, the kids have grown up on a keel boat as a floating cottage and racing with us and a lot of our good friends. We live too far away to be a part of the junior program, and there was a local junior program that we were really interested in joining the club. It was like $35, and we said we'd like to join the club and buy your opties. And they turned the opties into planters for everyone to see. So we didn't join that club. I'm like, they're like, well, they're shot. I'm like, well, and these boats had,
One had a hole in the bow of it.
yeah, but kudos to Katie's dad, Tom. I mean, he diligently looked for 2 years on. He's like, no, we're not going to these race ready sites. We didn't need a race ready opti. We just wanted the kids to learn some independence and some life skills. I didn't care if it was. One of them was built in 1961, and the winner company out of Denmark. We told them we had the hull, and they literally emailed us back. They said, "Oh my God, that thing's still around." They sent Charlotte a package of stickers and gear. It's the pink one in the lower bottom. That's a different story that we'll get to. But he found these, and we bought 2 opties and all the sails and all the gear for $400. And the kids spent months and months and months sanding, priming. Interlux was awesome. They heard we were doing this project. Interlux sent us a ton of paint and prep and mask, and like Hadley said, we got all the kids in the neighborhood involved. They'd come by and they're like, "You guys want to play?" And they're like, "No, we got angle grinders out." And the kids are like, "What? My parents doesn't let me touch the vacuum, let alone angle grinders."
They're like, you can cut your fingers off with those things.
Well, what'd your design teacher tell you?
My design teacher, we had to cut something for a project, and I was like, I can cut it. And he's like, no, I am not letting you cut it. Like, we weren't even allowed to use drills. It was kind of sad, but
Yeah.
I came home really mad that day, and my parents are like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "My design teacher won't let me use a jigsaw when I can use an angle grinder."
So then, of course, I didn't like that answer. So I sent him the video of her restoring the boat, and he's like, "That's cool. She can use whatever she wants."
But then our project was over, and I didn't get to use it.
So yeah, I mean, just the hard work that the kids went into to getting these things, what they wanted was awesome. And Charlotte was convinced, obviously, as you can see from Ruffin, she wanted a pink boat. So how did we get a pink boat?
We
Art class gave us a pink boat.
we ordered white and red from Interlux, and then we mixed it together, which I actually preferred, because if it was a real pink, then there only would have been like one shade. But I got to pick like the shade of pink that I wanted.
And what'd you name your boat?
Natural disaster.
You?
Castaway.
And I'll tell you what, those boats have gotten out more in the last 3 weeks. Than any other boat we own. And it's been a lot of fun. I did tell him to stay a little bit behind the line because of the pink and teal bows with all the white junior sailing boats. If you're over early, they know exactly who you are.
Easy to track down. That is true. Yep.
Yeah.
But it's so awesome with moving the trailer around and, restoring these boats and, living on board for the weekend and stuff. It's kind of the old school method, and sailing in a lot of regards is moving forward into some, new formats and things where trying to make it as efficient and turnkey as possible, where you just show up and, the boat's there and it's ready for you. But there's definitely something to be said for owning the boat and doing the work and nurturing that experience, learning how to use the tools, and really, that's part of being a sailor, no doubt about it.
You're so right, John. We were helping some other people around our dock a couple of weeks ago, and the girls were helping cut some battens and
that was fun.
Yeah. And he literally looked at us, he goes, "How do you guys know how to do this?" And we all looked at each other and laughed. We said, "The hard way." I didn't know how to do this till I had to do it.
Right.
And like Hadley said, if it was easy, everybody would do it because the champagne sailing is great, but it's not all that.
Exactly.
Cool. You
Super cool.
Speaking of
Yeah.
let's hit that next
Well, I
slide.
guess I was gonna say for love of the game, you've got to make it fun though, and including the neighborhood kids and in the Opties is super fun. And whenever we do our work weekends up in Sandusky, we try to incorporate our whole family and any members of the crew, families who want to come. And again, we get a cheap hotel with a pool, or we've done nicer hotels with the bigger water park and all the varieties in between. But one time at a pretty pretty unique water park, I had the kids all day.
It also
and
had live horse track betting.
it did attach to it, and a bowling alley attached too. Just pick your vice.
I had a birthday party there with the whole crew after a crew work day.
You both had birthday
You both had birthday parties there.
Child services.
But the kids have been running, the circle with this water slide all day, and in walks this group of men, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, this is a little odd. What's going on here? I think we got some pictures of this set up here.
Oh yeah.
And they've got dust on their face, and there's just this weird mark around their mouths. And as they get closer, I'm like, oh gosh, that's my husband and our entire crew. And it was all the dust from VC-17 and whatever else on. And there they are in their bathing suits, like ready to hop in the hot tub. I'm like, no, you can't do that. But I think that, like you said, John, getting the whole family involved and creating fun out of those experiences is what makes it a family event. And
yeah, I think
we've tried to make this time fun as well. We've had some family tournaments with card games and some challenges with Lego building, and
we actually part of the fun is the competitiveness. I mean, if anybody that knows us knows none of us are not competitive. There was a scavenger hunt in our city, 85 families, and oh man, we took that seriously. But we lost. We were in the like top 5, top 10 at the end.
We were in first at one point.
We were in first at one point, but we lost in the end because we went to work on the boat that weekend, and they put some new clues out on Sunday, and we were literally. I will actually jump to the next slide. It's a perfect transition. We were literally waxing the boat. So we lost the scavenger hunt. So, like Katie said, there's usually an entire crew weekend of guys that jump up there. It's always around Charlotte's birthday party. So we get 2 for 1. She gets to go see all of her crazy uncles.
We'll know which of our crew is listening because we have a big announcement, Knee Deep crew. The girls were very helpful, and you might be off the hook for future work days.
Whoa, that is a groundbreaker.
Wait,
So-
they're getting fired? No. Beg to stay.
No. Boys, Katie asked me after the 4 of us waxed a boat in 6 hours, how the heck it takes us the entire weekend, and we need hotel rooms to do it.
Busted.
We have definitely been busted.
Maybe we weren't focused, and we haven't had time. Charlotte, what's on the left there? What did we have time to do?
We made TikTok.
TikToks. We
Go
haven't had
subscribe
time
to the TikTok
stop
page.
and make TikTok
Follow.
breaks.
Yeah, we love our social media. We're getting into TikTok, but I'm not allowed to dance, so don't even ask John. So yeah, by the time wax dried, we were TikToking and got the job done.
Turning on the AC occasionally. We didn't want to kill the battery, but it was so hot.
It was hot. It was hot that day. You guys are troopers. You
Yeah.
guys were troopers.
All right.
Love these stories. These are great.
Yeah. Let's keep moving along. We've got one. This is our last lesson.
How are we on time?
I don't know.
2:40. We're good.
Oh, good.
Great.
We're great.
I guess, and the last thing that this pandemic has taught us is that you've got to plan so that you can wing it. And I think that sailing is pretty much, this could be the caption for sailing, because in all the planning that you do, Mother Nature's still in charge, and or plans change, and you got to be prepared to wing it too. So that's our last lessons learned, is planning so that you can wing it.
Yeah, you've got some stories.
There's so many examples of that. We went up to, we're packing for the boat, and I'm packing tank tops, windbreakers, sweatshirts, leggings, and shorts, and a bathing suit.
Yeah,
like every condition is packed for, and we're going for like 3 days.
I always love when we get up to the boat and it's, it's cold or it's hot or somebody goes, I just didn't look at the weather. I said, you never should look at the weather. Just pack everything you own. Because what's your motto, Katie?
Oh, there's nothing worse for me than being in a situation and knowing you have the right gear at home. Like if it's sailing, if it's skiing, whatever, and being like, oh, I wish I had. So you just got to pack it all.
Yeah, as Billy Seaman says, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad gear.
Yeah, bad gear.
Absolutely. That's a truism.
All right, let's hit this next slide. This is
this was probably my first realization of planning it so you can wing it. So we were taking a family trip with another family, and there was the kids we'd planned. They were down below. We had the lee cloths up because they were still, the one in Brett's lap is Hadley is 3. The 2 in my lap was another family friend she was 2 at the time. And then Charlotte is in the pink life jacket and she's 1. And so we had lee cloths up so no one could crawl out. And we had portable DVD player and Little Mermaid playing. And we were going to head
every bumper down below.
Like they were set. We were going to head to Kelly's Island. And out of nowhere, of course, there was a pop-up thunderstorm, and we can kind of see it lightning on the horizon and approaching. And so we get sails down, and we did everything. We followed the plan. We did everything that we were supposed to do until one of the 3 children, and I will not call anyone out, got seasick watching the video down below, and everything was becoming covered in vomit. So I'm like, we need to get them up. We need to get them fresh air. And so we brought them up and we got them fresh air. And we probably did the last 4 miles, I would say, of the sail under, reef main number 3, as little sail area as we could. And me holding 2 children and Brett holding Hadley. And they're sound asleep in this picture. The kids zonked out. It was, but that fresh air made all the difference. So despite how well we had planned, our plan changed.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Yeah, it did. And I remember Katie saying, well, we should turn around. I said, well, we're closer to Kelly's Island than we are to home. She goes, and we can only motor at 5.5 knots. She goes, how much can we go with a reef main and a 3? And I said, well, we've got the jack lines and the tethers out. And we went upwind with the J30 going 7.2 right into Kelly's Island. We got there and the kids go, whatever happened to that storm?
That's an amazing photo. That's a real framer.
Yeah, our buddy Johnny took it out. You can see the angle off the back of the boat. I mean, that's the heel.
Yeah. I can see your white knuckles as well there, Brett.
I know, you can. Look at him gripping her.
That's my baby. Boat performed great, though. Really happy.
It did.
What do we have next? I don't know. Hit the slide. I don't even know what we got. Oh, God.
Oh, another plan it so we can wing it day.
We just happened to end up at Kelly's Island. Just happened to end up there.
Yeah.
It's a theme. Yeah, we finished a race and
we just seem to happen to end up at Kelly's Island a lot.
Finished a race and just kept on sailing.
Yeah, went through the finish line and everybody wanted to have a juice of some point. And Kathy,
I wanted fish.
Yeah, Kathy said, "Hey, let's just lower, ease the main out. We'll flatten the boat. Everybody can, have a snack and get a juice box, adult and kid juice boxes. And next thing you know, I
think it was a football or it was a NFL Sunday too.
Yep, NFL Sunday.
And I think the guys got in their head that we were going to sail to Kelly's Island and have lunch and watch the early game.
Yeah, we had our family and we had the Vanderhorst family, and we had 2 single guys in their 20s that showed up just to go sailing for the day. And we looked at them like, "What do you guys have planned?" They go, "We have nothing planned. Like, we could even call off work tomorrow if you needed us. We have nothing to do." When the rest of us were all with our whole family. So
we thought we'd be racing till, I don't know, 11ish, 9 to 11ish. And we ended up after a couple rounds of putt and some playground play. And
didn't we try on bathing suits too?
NFL. Yeah, I think we did a little shopping. Mm-hmm. We made it back to the dock probably at 6 p.m.
It was a super expensive 5-mile Sunday fun day race.
Yeah, really. Looks like a blast.
It It was. But in those, I think, best laid plans, you got to have room for adventure too.
I remember we used to do these competitions on the swings where you can see one kid's shoe is off. We would see how far we could flick our shoes. And then there would always be that one kid that was always super upset because they were wearing like tennis shoes or these like sandals that they couldn't flick off, like the strap sandals, while the rest of us were wearing like slides or flip flops.
A little home court advantage. You didn't tell them the game.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But I guess that brings us to something else that isn't like we didn't necessarily think we were going to talk about, but none of these experiences really involve, technology, minus the Little Mermaid that went south quickly because they were getting seasick down there. But I think that that's something else that sailing has taught us that has definitely become very important over these last 9 weeks is just that you can make a game out of anything. Swinging a shoe, our kids can, I would say, probably play 25 different games with a deck of cards. It kind of takes you back to being creative and being inventive with what you have around you. Saran wrapping your legs together.
What about boomnastics, Charlotte?
Oh yeah, tell them about boomnastics.
So like at the beginning of the season, or just when we don't have a sail on the boom, it's a little bigger than a bar, but that doesn't matter. I would like swing on it and just like I would just like swing on it and do stuff on it, and then we named it boomnastics.
Yeah, we come back and she goes, "Hey, Dad, watch this," and she basically does this like complete inversion and like flips off the boom like into the cockpit. I'm like, don't do that on a lumpy day, please. And then I go, never mind. Katie just talked about no technology. I'm like, somebody go grab me my phone so I can send this to your gymnastics teacher. So yeah, the technology comes out for navigation and to get sweet video. That's it. That's where it comes from. All right, we got anything else on this? I don't know. I don't know what we did here.
That might be
it. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Another planets you can wing it. A couple of these were from a delivery that was super, super hot. We were going Sandusky to Cleveland.
Well, the middle one wasn't really a delivery. It was more of a let's go swimming
Yeah.
while we're sailing.
Pit stop.
That's the transom. We put soap on the transom, it's a
And water.
slide. And I do
So
have
fun.
pictures and videos of Katie doing it, so that'll be a private link later. She did a cannonball.
Awesome.
The water was cold too.
Although Charlotte is bathing in the cooler, I guess I cannot not say the planning so you can wing it. We would not be able to do any of this without our coolers. And
Yes.
I feel like I like literally pack our refrigerator on Friday, and then I use the cooler like it's a refrigerator all weekend, and then bring it all home and put it back in.
Yeah.
Last weekend we left with the house with 3 dozen hot dogs because we just weren't sure after the kids all did their day of sailing whether it'd be a pizza day or grill hot dog days or whatever. And
I remember in that cooler we were doing something and we were pouring water back and forth and we had to like count to 100. My parents were like, you don't have the attention span to do that. And then we were like, challenge accepted. And they said, if you do it, we will make your beds for a week. And we did it. And I remember I like threw all my pillows on the ground and ripped my sheet from under the mattress.
What song did we make you sing?
Oh, it was like, 100 bottles of beer on the wall, 100 bottles of beer, take one down, pass it around, 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
When we asked if they had any good ideas for stories, they said no. And now they're bringing up the good ones.
And they didn't even make our beds for a week. They made it for like 2 days.
Well, I haven't made my bed
good on the challenge.
Oh no, he did.
We got a
He did
couple. I
horrible.
got two more I want to share.
We gotta get to the point here.
Plan so you can wing it. So this is Mackinac, 2016. We've got some really great friends. We've gone up there with as adults, and now we go up there with kids. It's kind of our summer vacation. We're not even all in the same boats, and we get up there.
I took my first trip there at 9 weeks, so I've got you all beat.
Yes.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. Hashtag more infants on sailboats. 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
that's
right.
true.
You were 2 months. So these are the kids in t-shirts, or crew shirts, and I hate to say it, ladies, but you have your underwear on, and they jumped into the Straits of Mackinac with the flag, and that was a little bit of that was not plan it so you can wing it. It was just winging it. And if we jump to the next slide, this was last summer. We've prepared. We wear bathing suits, so now we've adapted the routine to jumping into Straits of Mackinac
Even though you
every
can't
year.
see it, we were in fact in bathing suits, and
Yeah, you can see a little strap right
everyone
there.
behind us was in fact in bathing suits.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I don't know. I think the summary of the 3 acts of our story here.
I mean, the global pandemic is hard. We've all learned that. It's hard on families, it's hard on businesses, it's hard on teams, it's hard on clubs.
It's hard on everything.
Yeah, we all need to do what we can do within our own households and within our own organizations to make the time enjoyable and to support each other. Whether you're being asked to stay in your pack and play like you guys were once upon a time, docking boats, or whether
That
you're
was
asked
fun.
to stay inside your house, or whether you're asked to race, just as a family. It's temporary, and we're all going to learn something from it and apply it later. And
Yeah, these times are not glamorous, as Katie said earlier. And really, everything we've gone through, you've got to be kind. You've got to just not really be afraid of who you are. I mean, get on Zoom calls without makeup or doing your hair. I did shave the pandemic quarantine beard. It got down to a mustache. The kids actually wouldn't even let me leave the yard if it was but it's
Then he
just
tried to dye it pink.
well, that was from a bet from the neighbor kid.
Still, it happened.
Yeah, but the takeaway was we tried to find things that were simple and repeatable, and just really instilled it back both ways. And honestly, when we got back to the boat, when we were allowed to go up there, it was just a routine. So that's
And I guess the other thing to keep in mind is that it's changing. It's changing every day. We get new information. The CDC is changing, and so just keep in mind that plan it so you can wing it, because as soon as you make a plan, that plan could change, and we might be in a different place come end of August. And so make our plans, hope for some racing, but we'll wing it if the plans change.
yeah. So hit the next slide. So this is our key takeaway. Pack the cooler, bring extras, call your friends. It's going to change.
I love it. Always be ready.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. And the chat, there's been some fun little questions in there, and a lot of people reminiscing about their own, time spent with their families and growing up. So I guess a couple questions I want to ask as we're sort of wrapping up here. First one is for the youngsters, Hadley and Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
You all have kind of grown up on the boat and you've been immersed in this all along. Would you have any advice for parents who maybe have slightly younger kids and they want to get their kids to have sort of a similar experience? Any key things that parents should know about getting their kids to really love sailing?
There are a couple of things. What helps is if they know how to swim, because they will not be afraid of the water. If you are afraid of the water, I mean, one of the greatest sailors of all time doesn't know how to swim, but
Whoa.
anyways.
Yep.
Also, if kids, you have to push them out of their comfort zones, but not to the point where it gets to tears or it gets to angry. Like you have to push them out of their comfort zones, but like by stair steps, like one step at a time, because you can't take them out in 7 knots of air and then take them out in 20 and expect them to be okay with it. Or they're like, oh, you can't say like, oh, it's just different. You take them out in 7 knots of air, take them out in 10 knots of air, then take them out in maybe 13 and then 15. And if a pop-up storm does come up and the wind picks up, put a tether on them so that they feel comfortable. Don't just tell them to hike if it's blowing like 20. Don't tell them to go hike out on the rail. Like put a tether on them. Make sure the life jacket's tightened enough so that it's comfortable but still safe. Make them feel safe.
What about you, Charlotte?
kind of like the same things as Hadley. Like, make sure there's good weather to go out.
Mhm.
Because if they have a bad experience when they're little, they're never gonna like it. So like, wait till they're older to do like more knots of air and like
Go
if
out
there's
in
like supposed to be
riskier
a
weather.
storm.
Yeah. So is yelling good?
No,
Oh.
yelling's terrible. Yelling,
Snacks. You guys always say the snacks are important.
yeah.
They're very important.
I've gone on.
Absolutely.
I remember one
Candy.
time she brought like, there was beer, there was water, and there was like apples. I'm like,
Mm,
You have to
Sorry.
bring candy.
I'm
fruit snacks. were missing.
happy that you did that, but really not.
And straight from the chat here, we have a question hot off the presses. What do you do when your dad starts telling jokes?
Oh,
Are these?
are we really gonna go there?
I'm really bad at jokes too.
He has
part
really
is
bad jokes.
I forget them.
Yeah.
What do you do when I start telling stories?
We don't listen. Or
Don't
we-
listen because
or
I've
we,
heard
like-
them all.
Or he'll be like, "So why did the chicken cross the road?" I'm like, "Hey Charlotte, do you see the wind on the water over there?"
Distract.
Wait, so you guys look for wind if I tell jokes?
No,
More jokes.
no.
No, I just point something out really random that's not irrelevant at all to what we're talking about, so you'll stop.
I've got another one for the parents, for Brett and Katie. For people, say, adults out there with families who are looking at this and thinking, hey, that looks pretty fun. And you all have been at this for quite a while. You've owned your boat and you've got your system down. But, what advice would you have for someone who's thinking about, hey, maybe I should get a boat and start doing this kind of thing with my family? Any lessons learned that you can share?
I have something.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to maybe start out with more of a easier boat to sail. Like, don't start out with the laser because those things take off. But start out with something a little easier to sail if you don't know what you're doing, because you don't want to get you don't want to get a full-on stripped out racing boat for your family to learn how to sail on, because that's not fun.
I think too, just kind of similar to what Hadley said, taking it in small chunks. You don't have to go cruising for a whole week. You can just go up for an overnight and, maybe not do any sailing at all. Just work on the liveaboard side of it, and then, do a little sails here and
I
there.
think Charlotte's ready.
So before you buy a boat, because they're expensive, you might want to if you have a relative or a friend that has a boat, you might want to use theirs to make sure you really like it.
That's great advice.
Those are the best kind of friends. Absolutely.
Yeah,
But-
exactly.
Friends with boats.
Also, something to know is your friends do the upkeep, your relatives will do the upkeep. So what you see is not always what you get with it.
Yeah,
There are some
It's hard.
added stuff to it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess that's the other thing I would tell a family that wants to get into it. It is hard, and it's we said it's not all glamorous, but it's certainly worth the effort.
yeah, you just have to have an open mind. And the one thing that I learned early was just ask for help. If you don't know how to do something, ask somebody. And if they don't know how to do it, they know somebody that does. And if not, they'll point you in the right direction to the person you can pay to fix it. But we joke that we learned everything the hard way. Have an open mind. We all get frustrated, but
You have to ask for help. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
that's the key. And get yourself a good village, because this stuff takes a village. And have fun while doing it, because it's better than sitting on your couch.
In some sort of organization system, like we have bins that we just bring back and forth each weekend. So if it's something that you're looking to get into, and
Listen to her on that.
Snack bin.
we the snack bin goes back and forth. We have the sleeping bag sheet bin that just goes back and forth, and it comes home and it's all washed, and I fold it and I put it right back in the bin, and so it's just ready to go out the door the next Friday.
Well, really, whoever asked that question, just get to Sandusky. Bring your family. We'll go out sailing. Come by.
Perfect.
Or shoot us an email if you're far away, and
Doc
we'll,
C23. Let's go.
I'll send you my lists. There's a lot of lists.
Yeah, those sound
What
valuable.
color is green? White mast.
You should post those on More Kids
I
on Sailboats. Actually. A little
That's
resource section would be
Great idea.
A lot of dead
absolutely
fish
should.
by our dock. That's the way the wind decides to move them.
Okay. You're not selling things. Chamber
And
of Commerce just called.
I'm just
speaking of More Kids on Sailboats, I think as we're wrapping up here, how can people get involved? Use the hashtag, go to your website, but what's the call to action?
Yeah. Use the hashtag, get in touch with us. Really, we want to get more eyes on sailing. And I think one of the ways we can continue to do it is we have a platform that people are looking. So, with this race coming up for Leukemia Cup, we're actually, starting to talk to partners that want to be involved. MTI Life Jackets has already jumped on and been involved. And there's some brands that we want to get out there and get the experience, because if we have more of those resources, we have more eyes on it. At the end of the day, we've got kids on boats and sailing. So we've got some ways that people can donate from an in-kind partnership. And really, we will leverage however we can and help you craft your story. I'm in advertising. We're living in an authentic time where people are just trying to get back and get relevant. There's ways to donate from a financial standpoint for individuals or corporations as we start to build these programs. Because ideally, what we'd love to have long term, if you look at it, let's have some More Kids on Sailboats chapters around the region, and skippers and families and organizations that really are trying to bring kids to keel boats and being part of a team and part of a co-ed and multi-generational sport. Because I mean, we've gone out and we've had races, people 8 to 70 years old, and we only have a crew of 9. And the way they're bridging the gap and building leaders from each other. One of the guys on the crew said, "Hey, we should make a great video because I don't have kids. I want to make a video about what I learned from having your kids on board." And I was like, "Really?" First of all, I gotta go through what you want to say there. But it's such a great idea because a lot of the guys on our crew don't have kids. So they're very intrigued to tell their story of what they've learned of being around there. So we're building leadership both ways.
And I think, I think anyone involved in sailing right now, the mission is to keep the sport going and to keep bodies in the sport. And if we are not, many sailing organizations, while they have learn to sail programs and they have junior programs, getting keel boats in slips is also a big portion of organizations staying afloat and having the financial means to do so. And so exposing children to the teamwork of it, to the leadership of it, to the camaraderie of it will hopefully keep all those organizations going and keep big boat racing going as well.
Absolutely. Any parting words from Hadley or Charlotte?
Hashtag More Kids on Sailboats.
Exactly.
Okay. Charlotte, anything? No?
Just say the hashtag again.
Well, it's great having you guys. Really, such a cool thing you've started here. I really think it's something that the whole sailing community can get behind in all different corners of the sport. It was great having you at the Sailing Leadership Forum last winter, and thanks for your participation there. And really, there's no better summer than right now to get more kids on sailboats. So
absolutely,
do it locally. Let's just go make it happen.
And reach out to us if you are wanting, if you have a boat and you want to get more kids on sailboats. We can help you brainstorm ways to get kids on board, and maybe eventually once that nonprofit gets up, once that nonprofit gets up and going, even help supplement some of the costs that you endure to keep kids safe and get them on your boat. So.
Yeah, I've got one last word. If you're a skipper and you've got your dock lines tied to a dock and you see a kid, invite them to go sailing. When I grew up in Port Huron, Michigan, there was just kids that wandered down on Sunday, and it was like an old school playground. You just started picking teams, and we all got divided up, and we ended up with whoever we had. And it didn't even matter if your dad owned the boat. Sometimes I think some of the other kids tried to get off their dad's boats, but really, if there's a kid around your club, just invite them to sail. Because if you don't take the action, they're not going to take it for you. Tucker Thompson had a great quote about that at the leadership forum that said, "We just need to, if you have a keel boat racing or cruising, clubs need to find more ways to get kids on these boats."
It doesn't always have to be keel boats.
Yeah. But
You have a catamaran or trimaran.
Yeah.
I've sailed one of those. They're really cool. Shout out to NACRA.
Yeah, sail it all. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, these kids left. Yeah, hey, thanks for the babysitting job you gave us with the NACRA sailors. I'm looking to buy like 8 NACRAs now. So kids are obsessed.
I told you not allowed to buy any more boats. We have too many.
We have just enough.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We really appreciate you joining us here. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, and looking forward to doing this again sometime soon.
Thanks for everything, John. You guys in US Sailing, it's been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.